Veteran Salute is sponsored by the DeVaughn James Injury Lawyers.
1943 was a time of racial injustice in the U.S., and that did not exclude the military. As KSN's Katie Tobby shares, it also did not stop Rip Gooch from pursuing his dream working in aviation. It just rerouted his flight plan.
Well, in 1943, Rip Gooch knew he'd likely be drafted. He also knew he wanted to try and fly for the military. He figured he'd have a better chance at that if he enlisted rather than waiting on the draft. So that's what he did.
When I finally heard that there were black aviators in the military, I took off. I found out there at Tuskegee, Alabama, and I took off and went to Tuskegee, Alabama to volunteer to join these guys because nobody that I talked with of color, naturally, had any interest in being up in the airplane.
He had no prior training, but Rip knew he wanted to learn to fly. The list of applicants was long, and he had to pass a test in Memphis to qualify. As
I walked in, he spoke up loudly, "What do you want, boy?" I said, "I want to join the Air Corps and fly airplane." And he started laughing. And he laughed until instead of being tall, I was so short I couldn't look over the counter to see him.
Instead, Rip went to the draft board and said he'd like to volunteer and was interested in aviation. The draft board moved up his name, but never gave him credit for volunteering. The military placed him in a newly formed aviation program that was a service unit. It was a brand new military base in Greenville, Texas, Major's Army Airfield.
My first military assignment, before I had learned the orders of the day, was waiting tables for the white people who were learning to fly in the basic flight training program.
It wasn't exactly what Rip had in mind. After some time, he says he was promoted to fueling airplanes. He did those jobs for a number of months, then made some noise to transfer out of Greenville.
I might have told them where they could put their Army Air Corps service unit. I don't know what I told them, but I made noise.
Now Rip was part of the infantry. His job was to relieve soldiers fighting on the front lines, but the war in Europe would end before he was needed. Eventually, Rip learned to fly and was certified by Major Charles Anderson, the man responsible for training all pilots who came out of Tuskegee.
Aviation was all I thought it would be, but the treatment opportunities was never like I would have thought it would be.
Rip's love of aviation continued after the war when he later decided to start his own business that was headquartered in Wichita for 20 years. Aero Services Incorporated provided flight training, charter flying, aircraft rental, and storage. He even dabbled in politics, elected to the Wichita City Council and elected to several terms on the Kansas Senate. But his heart was with aviation.
Aviation made me more equal. That is my certificate of authorization.
Rip says he most loved his job as a designated pilot examiner for the Federal Aviation Administration. He was certified by the FAA to test aspiring pilots.
It wasn't a matter of what color or what. You had to go by somebody to make this, and a lot of people came to me.
Rip went on to write a book about his life, detailing his experiences in the military, politics, and business. It's titled Black Horizons. Here for you in Wichita, Katie Tobby, KSN News 3.
Tonight we salute Rip Gooch for his service during World War II.
Dustin DeVaughn with the DeVaughn James Injury Lawyers, and I'm here with World War II veteran Rip Gooch, who served in Italy. On behalf of all of Kansas, we want to thank you for your service.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I served in both Italy and the Pacific.
Well, God bless you for your service.
Thank you.
Veteran Salute is sponsored by the DeVaughn James Injury Lawyers.